So what do? You have a podcast or something, do you?
Yep. We are live in 30 seconds. Actually, we are live now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. And to everyone listening from around the world, we're live. We were talking to Abel Sanchez. Now we talk to another top trainer, Kevin Barry, the trainer of the WBO King, Joseph Parker. Welcome to the show.
Agram, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be on your show. And it's nice for BWTM Sports to reach out to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. So, first question. I assumed before we started the show that you were in New Zealand. So I feel I was corrected. You told me you were in Las Vegas. Tell me about that.
Well, mate, I tell you what, I've actually just spent the last 9 weeks in New Zealand and then popped over to Australia for the Jeff Horn fight. But I've lived in Vegas and had my training camp here for the last 14 years. And Joseph Parker actually, the last 4.5 years, has lived in my house here with me, probably spent a good 8 months of the year, every year, living with me.
That's interesting stuff. So let's get to know a little bit more about Kevin Barry. So for those people who don't know who Kevin Barry is, very quickly let people know who you are in a nutshell, Kevin.
Well, Kevin Barry's been around boxing his whole life. I had my first amateur fight at the age of 8. I stayed amateur for 16 years, was the Commonwealth champion, winning the Commonwealth amateur title in the Ulster Hall in Belfast in 1983. I went to the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in 1984 and won a silver medal for New Zealand. It was New Zealand's first Olympic medal for 56 years. And then after that, I didn't seek a professional career. It was something my dad was the Olympic coach and coached me my whole career, and he sort of said to me, the professional boxing game is not for you, son. You're going to be a lawyer. Of course, I didn't become a lawyer, but I made a career out of boxing, out of training, managing, promoting fights. I did a lot of media work in New Zealand, and I've been fortunate for the passion and love of my life. I've been able to do it all my life.
Had one David Tua under your wing at one point, didn't you?
I managed David Tua for 12 years. I brought him to America as a 19-year-old dishwasher in New Zealand after the Barcelona Olympics, and I turned him pro with Lou Duva in main events. And Lou Duva, Shelley Finkel, and myself managed him for about 7 years, and I took him away from main events and signed a deal with America Presents. And it was America Presents that gave David Tua the opportunity when he fought Lennox Lewis at the Mandalay Bay in November of 2000.
In your opinion, why do you think David Tua never won a world title?
Well, I tell you what, it's one of the most disappointing things of my whole boxing career. David and I always believed that he would wear one of the heavyweight belts. In fact, David Tua, I'm not sure if a lot of people know this or not, but David Tua didn't just win, he KO'd 4 guys who wore the heavyweight belt: Michael Moorer, John Ruiz, Oleg Muskayev, and Hazim Rahman. The John Ruiz and Michael Moorer knockouts, 19 seconds in the first round and 30 seconds in the first round against Michael Moorer, were the 2 fastest heavyweight KOs on HBO. So, for David never to wear the heavyweight belt, it was a real injustice.
Do you feel, so when you look back at that, do you take that as a loss or responsibility or accountability yourself as a trainer? Do you think it was David Tua's fault, or do you think it was just timing?
No, I'll tell you what, it it was definitely timing. There was David Tua also spent a lot of time in and out of the ring. We, after being together for 12 years, we were estranged for about 5 years, fighting each other in court. And during that time, he was back right in a position to fight for the heavyweight title again. I never trained him his whole career. I trained him when he was in New Zealand. I was always sort of training in the background. And then in 2001, I took over as the head coach when David Tua came back onto the scene, knocking out Frazier, knocking out Michael Mora, beating Hazim Rahman. I think it was just one of those. It's one of those things. Even to today, I scratch my head about and say, how did this guy never win a heavyweight title? He will go down as one of the biggest punchers ever in the heavyweight division, and the guy had freakish power. If Tua hit you, he was going to knock you out. If he caught you clean, and he was one of those guys. He wasn't the busiest fighter. Let's remember, David Tua was 5'9.5". Wow. Even Mike Tyson, who was a little guy, made David Tua look small.
Wow. So there are some things. Some of these are things I heard. Some of these things are things that I saw, and then some of these things are just things floating out there. So I've got the opportunity to ask you about them. First question: is it true that Tua got knocked out in the amateurs?
That David Tua did?
Yes.
David Tua was dropped as a 17-year-old fighting Felix Savon in Sydney, Australia. Right. This is, don't forget, I never started working with Dave. I commentated a few of his fights in the amateurs, and we used to talk to each other. But our business relationship started when I took him to America to turn him pro. Right. Now, when that actually happened, let me tell you this: he was a young, very naive, insecure, nervous boy fighting the greatest fighter of his time, Felix Savon, and everyone said, "Oh, this guy's going to knock you out." And Savon was a monster compared to the 5'9.5" Tua, and more out of stage fright than anything else. I think he was knocked out in that fight. He wasn't knocked cold or anything like that. He was clipped. The nerve got to him. He went down. And let's remember, this is a guy who had not only one of the heaviest punches in the heavyweight division, but he also had one of the greatest chins. Yes. Yes. Nobody ever knocked David Tua out. So that this was a little incident that happened to him in the amateurs, as I said, in Sydney World Championships, and God, I think it was 1990. It was when he was a 17-year-old. Yes, so that was something that's what I always wondered as a pro. Nobody came close to knocking David Tua out. So I was wondering what. Yeah, so it was interesting. I'll tell you who else has got a pretty good chin. Is a certain Mr. Joseph Parker. so I don't know if it's a Polynesian thing or not, but I can tell you this: that now that we've brought the subject of chins up, that Joseph Parker has never ever been knocked out in his amateur career. He's never been off his feet as a professional, and he's never ever ever in hundreds and hundreds of rounds of sparring ever looked like being off his feet. I know you mentioned that, and I know that's one of your selling points, and I will come back to you about that. I don't want to jump the Joseph Parker thing. It's not trying to sell it to you, it's a fact. Well, I know it's... You don't sell facts. You say facts. I appreciate that, Kevin, and I'm going to come back to you about this thing about his chin, because I think the best chin in the world is a chin that just doesn't get hit. But I don't know if you'll agree with that or not. Yes, I do agree. But I tell you what, as we know, there is not too many chins that have world title fights through a whole build-up and a whole development stage of preparing yourself to fight for a world title, and whether you get your chin hit or not, you know your chin's going to be tested. It's going to be tested at some stage, and there's not too many guys get to this position without having their chins tested.
Absolutely, but we'll come back to that. I just want to stay on this tour thing for a second, then we'll warm things up, then we'll go over to Joseph Parker. Now, the other thing was Evander Holyfield, who we spoke to recently last year, at the back end of the year. We spoke to Evander Holyfield, and one of the questions I didn't ask him, but now I can ask you, is the sparring sessions that he had with David Tua in preparation for the Mike Tyson fight. Can you tell us anything about that?
Look, when Evander was finally going to get in the ring with Tyson, and they tried many times, as you know, when it was finally looked like the fight was going to happen, Evander was with Main Events at the time. Tua was with Main Events. It was beneficial for the development of Tua, and it was also very beneficial for Evander Holyfield to get somebody who was Tyson-like. And I don't think there were too many guys at that time who were more Tyson-like than David Tua. And I believe, those sparring sessions are up there on YouTube. I think they've been viewed many, many times. And Evander was a great fighter that Tua held his own very well with him.
Interesting. Okay. So that's another David Tua stuff. The other man I'd like to talk about for a minute is the president. That's my man. I thought he was the best heavyweight at the time. Again, you may disagree, but I thought he was the best heavyweight at that time. But he went a bit crazy and got arrested.
Well, he was potentially the hottest prospect out there. The fight between him and Tua.
Yes.
Even to today, I still believe we won that fight. Jim Lampley, who called the fight for HBO immediately after the fight, Jim said to me, Tua won that fight. And I said, well, look, I knew it was close. I thought we'd done enough to win. Tua got off to a really bad start in that fight, and really, Ike Ibuchi came out at a furious pace in the first 3 or 4 rounds. And it was a pace that no one had really seen before, and there was no way that he was going to be able to maintain that pace for 12 rounds especially against a guy like Tua, who could knock you out in any round of the fight. And even if you got well ahead on points, which was the case of many of Tua's fights, he'd catch you in those rounds 10, 11, and 12 and knock you out, as he did on many occasions. But Ibuchi kept the pace up. They fought at a pace that broke the Ali Frazier world record for the most number of punches in a 12-round heavyweight title fight, and they did it in 12 rounds. And the title was the 14-round stoppage, which I believe was the third fight between Ali and Frazier. So that they had the record with 2 extra rounds.
Wow. So
this is one of the fights that right throughout, ever since that fight took place, people talk to me about that fight all the time. It's one of those things. If you're a boxing fan and you watch boxing fights, especially the great fights of the past, you would have seen that fight. You would have watched it at some stage.
Yeah.
And Graham, I'm sure you've seen the fight, haven't you?
Absolutely. That's why I had to come and ask you about it, because it was a tremendous fight.
It's one of the great heavyweight fights.
Absolutely.
It was like, it was. But I tell you what, Tua went on after that. That was his first loss, and he came back, and of course got the heavyweight title fight, and had a lot of really good knockouts. And of course, the Mora fight and Ruckman were all after that. But Ibuchi, he was never really the same. He had a great win against Chris Bird. He did to Chris Bird what no one else in the heavyweight division could do.
Yes.
He was such a friggin' powerful beast. But, as we know, boxing's about a package. and mentally the guy was just so unstable. And I felt very, very sorry for guys like Cedric Kushner, who energy into Ibeabuchi, and had he was planning on this being the guy that was going to take to the big time. And of course, Ike went crazy, and for many, many years was in a mental institution. And I'm not going to share the stories, but I've been told about the guy over the years, and some of them are just downright crazy.
Absolutely. I don't know whether it's myth, legend, or what, but I thought he would have been the best heavyweight out of them all. Lewis, Tyson. I mean, anybody can make things up about Ike, but the president, I mean, he did well against Tua, a noted puncher. He did what nobody thought he'd do against Chris Bird, and those are two top quality fighters. And if you listen to some people around in boxing circles, when they talk about the president, they always think, he was the guy who could have gone on and caused all the other top heavyweights serious problems and potentially been an undisputed champion. Do you think that's too far-fetched? Or do you think that's possible?
Mate, I tell you what, I think there was definitely a possibility. The guy had enormous potential, but when you talk about him possibly becoming one of the greats, it was still relatively early in his career. There were better guys than Chris Bird out there, and there were better guys than you mentioned the name Lennox Lewis, the greatest fighter of that time. Lennox always found a way to cancel guys out, and I would never ever have backed against Lennox in the fight with Ibeabuchi.
See, Lennox also suffered 2 losses, one against Oliver McCall and one against Hasim Rahman, and I think that Ike could have beaten both of those guys easily.
Yeah, possibly at different times. Rahman was a hell of a fighter. At his peak, I think he was a very underestimated guy. The first time the tour for them, I think Rahman showed just how classy he actually was. Now, Ingrid, I'm going to share something with you right now. This is probably something that it wouldn't have happened to you too many times on your show, but I'm sitting in my office upstairs in my house, as you know.
Yes.
I've had a burst water pipe downstairs. I had to rip the floor out of Joseph Parker's bedroom. I've had to repipe my house. A team of construction guys downstairs. My son and wife are both out of the house. I've been receiving texts while I'm talking to you that the guys need me downstairs. So I don't know if you're going to take a break for 2 minutes or talk. But mate, I tell you what, I can't 40 more minutes. Unless you want me to take the phone with me down there and find out what they want.
You could do that.
Mate, I tell you what, here we are. I've got Joseph Parker fighting at the biggest fight in his career. And my house is under construction.
You're underwater. Let's hope you can swim and not sink, eh?
Yeah, so we fixed all the plumbing problems are all corrected, but now I'm just putting the house back together again.
Okay.
So what do you need to do? Because mate, I don't like to do this to you because we've got a nice little flow going, but I would tell you it's going to take me probably 60 seconds. Okay.
Well, then do you want to do what you're doing for 60 seconds, and then we'll just wait for you to come back?
Beautiful.
In the time. Yeah, you can hang up, and in the time being, I'll talk to everybody and then see what people are saying, and then just call me straight back.
Gotcha, bud.
Cheers. There you have it. Kevin Barry will be back in a minute. He's got a bit of some waterworks going on. Oh, it's all happening in the world of BWTM sports. I hope that you're enjoying this so far, this interview with Kevin Barry, who will be back with us shortly. So USA says Trap Media. Yes, we'll have to bring you on, Trap Media. I will definitely bring you on. We'll have to do something separate, but we'll definitely bring you on to the channel. Let's see what people are saying. I bet it's got nothing to do with Joseph Parker, or if it has, it's very little to say with Joseph Parker. Let's see what people are talking about here. DJ Slick says, "Good to have Kevin get on the channel, Kevin. You guys in the Parker camp believe Joshua is a knockover job, don't you? You believe he's carrying glass. Interesting." Will Magic Man says, "This is a nice surprise." Will Magic Man continues on, "I think that Parker is faster than Joshua." Okay. And then our Rampage fan 33 says, "Excellent work. Great to have Kevin Barry on. If those of you who are wondering what's going on, Kevin Barry will be back in a minute. He's got some problems in his household, but he'll call us back. AJ will kick his ass." Well, yeah, okay. Eddie Hearn, LOL, you're probably right. Parker is a great fighter, though, but AJ is the best at the moment. Okay. Will says, "If AJ's coming in a little lighter, that will be a big factor. I think he'll have more gas from the start." Okay. Will continues saying, "Eddie, I agree. AJ is the best heavyweight on the planet, but only takes one lucky punch." Well, I don't believe in lucky punches in boxing, because the whole point of boxing is for guys to throw punches. So lucky punches, well, not so sure about lucky. JD says Brazil has proved to have a better chin than Parker. Well, how did he do that? We saw what AJ did to him. Parker hasn't proved he can take what Brazil can. Well, Takam showed he's got a better chin than Brazil, because Takam didn't go down at all. In fact, Takam got stopped in a fight that I didn't think he needed to be stopped in. Will Magic Man says, "I have to rerun Brazil fight and we'll play at two times the speed to make it look normal." LOL. How says Eddie Hearn. Magic Man says, "But credit where due. Brazil has a huge heart. He has pop, but it's far too slow, in my opinion." And then JD says, "Brazil is like molasses for real." LOL. Kevin is good with his word. He's back. Kevin, are you there? Hi. Great. Everything okay?
Mate, nothing's easy in this world, my friend.
Nothing's easy, but it's good when you have to work for it.
Yes, well, I thought that my wife and son were both home and they could handle this for me, but they're both out.
It's okay.
So, all right, we all good?
Yes, we're good. So
like there, Bucci, we're just saying that a menacing character. You know, we probably never saw the real potential of the man. There was definitely a lot of room there for discussion whether he could have been the heavyweight champion of the world, and whether if he did get there, whether he could have won all the belts. And then we talked about Lennox Lewis, and we know that Lennox he had knockout losses, but he avenged both of those. Was a very heavy-handed puncher himself. When you talk about Lennox's chin, it was a little bit susceptible, but Klitschko had a very susceptible chin as well.
Well, there you
go. He
found
a way around it, and he found a way to reinvent himself, change his style, and go undefeated for 10 years.
Do you know what I never understood? People said Lennox has a suspect chin, but I never got it. He got hit by Bruno. He got hit by Mason. He got hit by Ruddock. Well, he didn't get hit by Ruddock. He got hit by quite a few guys, and he didn't go over. The two punches that knocked him over were knocked over most heavyweights. I mean, the punch that got knocked over by Oliver McCall and the punch he got knocked over by Rackman were two huge punches.
I disagree. I don't think that punch of Rockman. We both know that Lennox actually he looked right past Rockman in that fight. He underestimated the altitude. He was in Vegas filming Ocean's 11. When you start making your training and your preparation secondary to appearing on movies and things like that, then you're asking for trouble. He just wasn't prepared for that fight.
And the Oliver McCall fight?
We saw in the rematch what should have happened in the first fight.
I agree with you. I agree with you there. So, okay, fair enough. So let's move on to the man that you're training now, Joseph Parker, the WBO heavyweight champion of the world. The point of him becoming heavyweight champion of the world, how has his development been for you up to the point he became world champion?
You know, I think that he actually got there in very fast time. And, you know that 24 when he won the title, one of the youngest of all time. We fought the 3 years before that, 2014, 15, and 16, and we fought 5 times a year. The only other fighter often was Anthony Joshua. And so, you know, both guys were on the collision course. They were mirroring each other for some time. And if you actually go back before Parker won the belt and before Joshua won the belt, we were actually we were the mandatory to fight Anthony Joshua. This, you know, when you do it, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but like when you talk about Parker's progress, I think he's developed very well. He's become more of a complete fighter. He was still with the amateur style when I first took him over in 2013. He always had very, very fast hands. Power, in fact, you know, everyone said to me, you know, like, you know, Joe's, you know, he's got good hand speed. You know, we know he can score points in the amateurs, but I just don't think he can knock guys out. And the reason why he wasn't knocking guys out is because he didn't know how to sit down on his punches, and he didn't know how to turn his punches over and slow everything down, and got him balanced and got his feet working under him. And immediately we saw the results of the combination of punching power. And you know, Joe's had a lot of spectacular knockouts, and he's had a lot of one-punch knockouts. You know, against guys who hadn't been knocked out with one punch. The element of Joe has been right on point. Everything was going very, very well for us. And then we sort of hit a couple of hurdles last year, 2017, with Joe only fighting twice. You know, at a minimum, we should have fought 3 times last year. Could have possibly got in even 4 fights. So, you know, we're hoping now with this potential Joshua fight taking place that, you know, this year will be a busier year for us.
So, what is your philosophy in training as a trainer? What is your aim? You must have an end goal with Joseph Parker in terms of how you've seen him. What's the vision? I mean, I know.
You know, what I see in this young man is I see with phenomenal vision, with great timing. Some guy who he does things that other fighters simply don't do. He can hit you from different angles. When Joseph Parker is at his best throwing combinations, it is really a work of art in the gym. And I honestly don't believe that I've had any fights where in our time together where he's actually given me 100% of what he is capable of doing. Some of the things I see him do in the gym just make me marvel. And, you know, I know there's going to come a time, and if there's ever been a fight, to fight your best fight and really show the true tools that you have, fight coming up.
Okay. Let's review the Hughie Fury fight, because sorry, Let's review that fight because
Horrible fight.
well, you said it.
Horrible fight. Horrible fight. Horrible style. Huey Fury had a style that I would never, ever, ever had put Joseph in the ring with him for any other reason other than being a mandatory. Going to upset a lot of people, even with the training that we did and the numerous meetings that Joe and I had, sitting down talking about the awkwardness, just how unorthodox and the mobility of Huey. I remember Joe saying to me straight afterwards in the dressing room, saying that, I know how many times you said it to me, Coach, but I had no idea or no belief that he would ever be that awkward. He just never ever stopped moving. Now that particular style, it's hard to win a world title when you're fighting someone like Joe who's coming forward all the time, when you're moving backwards all the time. But that particular style of Fury's, I think, is going to trouble a lot of people. Not a lot of guys with their hand up to fight Huey Fury. There was a bit of talk for a while that Fury and Dillian Whyte were going to fight, but of course now Dillian's taken another course. That's a fight that I was looking forward to see, because I think Fury would box the ears out of Dillian Whyte.
While you're at it, you're talking about Dillian Whyte. It's confirmed that he's fighting Lucas Brown. What are your thoughts on Lucas Brown, and why haven't you fought Lucas Brown?
Well, you probably remember that we actually had Lucas almost under contract to be our first fight up this year, and that was held up when Eddie started calling Joseph Parker around, saying, "This is our course this year. We're fighting Parker," and we go, "What?" And we hadn't even begun the negotiations, and Eddie had already called Joseph out in the media. And Joe goes, "Can you believe that?" And he said, "You know anything about it?" I said, "No, I don't." All this preparation at the moment with Lucas Brown's people. In fact, we had contracts in front of Lucas Brown in November last year, and because for him to take this Dillian Whyte fight. So when you ask why didn't we fight him, we were very much in negotiations to make him our first fight of 2018.
Okay, fair enough. What was the game plan going in against Huey Fury? What were you telling Huey Fury? What were you telling Joseph Parker to do against Huey Fury?
Well, it's very, very important who's moving back all the time. Quite often your first jab's going to be short. So we've got to double up. And Huey, as you know, is a tall guy. The body was open. The body a lot more. I wanted him to move his feet a lot more. We came in that fight. That was the plan. The plan was for right throughout the camp was for him to come in under 110. He weighed 112 at the weigh-in. I believe that extra weight slowed his foot speed down, and with the feet slowing down, I think it slowed down his hands a little in that fight.
Okay. Now I did hear in the press, and again I don't know how it were, because I've heard many trainers.
What are you saying to me, Ingrid? You're saying that I tell lies?
No. Let me finish. I said, no, I hear things in the media, so I always like to hear people speak it from themselves. But there's a story that's come out that you're going to try and make Joseph Parker lighter before he challenges or he fights Anthony Joshua. Is this true?
It's not just a story in the media. It's like, look, I want Joe to be lighter. I think I need to have a very mobile Joseph Parker. style of Anthony Joshua.
But the two trains of thought here. The first train of thought is, well, you know, if he's heavier, then he's got more shock absorb. He can absorb heavier punches better when he's heavier. And then if he's lighter, then his punches isn't as good. But then if he's lighter, he doesn't get hit as often because his mobility is better. So what is it?
Yeah, wait, let me tell you this. You know, weight doesn't mean power. And I think the extra weight has been slowly bulking Joseph Parker up, making him bigger, making him heavier, because of these fights that were coming up. You know, we were looking ahead at, you know, possibly, you know, Joshua and a few other big guys. But look, hindsight, I now believe that that was the wrong thing to do. You know, I know that Joseph Parker is far from the finished product, so you know we're trying different things out. This I don't believe has worked. I mentioned before how I thought that it had slowed his foot speed down, the extra weight. I think it's very important that we get back to the basics that made Joe the fighter that title. It's a guy who gets him behind his leg, a guy who throws a lot of punches. And I think in a fight against a guy like Anthony Joshua, you know, we need to be very mobile and we need to be very busy.
What did you make of Joshua's last fight against Takam? And did that give you any further things to work on in the gym?
Well, you know, we've looked at, you know, this fight between Parker and Joshua is not like a surprise. You know, this fight's been really happening for the last 3 years, and we always knew that if both guys stayed undefeated, they went on different paths and won world titles, that one day this fight would happen. You know, we've been looking at Anthony Joshua for a long time, and Anthony Joshua has been looking at Joseph Parker for a long time. We know that. Sorry, get back to your question that I've gone on. What was the initial question?
I can't remember the initial question. What was the initial question? Parker. Oh, I can't remember what the initial.
No, you said what to do with Joshua. I don't know. I can't remember what you said. But the thing is this: you know, both these guys know each other's style. They've each other developed over the last 3 years. You know, you've heard Joshua say, you know, he knew Parker in the amateurs. He watched him in the amateurs. Look, you know, these guys know each other. You know, this is a fight that this fight has a lot going for it. You know, both these guys are very young guys in the heavyweight terms. You know, they're both undefeated. They're both world champions, and both these guys are going to get better. It's obvious, which is going to make for a very, very exciting heavyweight fight. And the heavyweight division needs this fight.
It does.
The world champions need to fight each other. You know, that's what makes this fight so exciting. You know, you look at Joshua, he's a big, big dude. You know, he's taller than Parker. You know, he's probably stronger than Parker, and he has a substantial reach advantage. But you know, Joseph Parker has more hand speed. He has better footwork than Joshua. He's got a better punch selection, and he has far more durability. And you know, it's because of these things that makes it such an exciting, interesting fight.
Okay, now we're gonna talk. We'll talk about this durability thing. Now we can talk about it. Now, I've heard a lot from yourself, and I've heard particularly a lot from Dave Higgins about Parker's chin. Now, camps talk about fighters' chins and not talk about their boxing ability. That's a bit of a concern for me. Why have you gone down the road to focus so much on Parker's chin rather than talk about his boxing ability?
Mate, I'll tell you what I think. It wasn't so much talking about Parker's chin. It was highlighting Anthony Joshua's chin. And, you know, like, you've been around the game a long time, you know that, you know, a fight like this is a really big fight. You know, Joseph Parker didn't quite have the breakout performance in Manchester that we were looking for, mainly because of the horrible style of Hughie Fury, and because there was only one guy really trying to fight in that fight. You know, because of that, you know, we've had to work very hard to build Joe's profile up in the UK, to introduce the boxing fans to the WBO champion. And you know, there was a lot of banter on social media. There was a lot of banter in various interviews. And look, this is part of the marketing and promotion of a fight of this size.
Okay.
So, you know, when you come at me and say, well, if you're talking about your fighter's chin and not his boxing skill, you know, surely does that mean that he doesn't have any boxing skill? Come on, mate, you've seen Joseph Parker. You saw him beat Andy Ruiz, who was 29-0. A very good boxer, a very capable boxer. You saw him beat Hughie Fury, who was 20-0. Again, a very good boxer. You know, Joseph Parker is a very skillful fighter.
Of course, I appreciate that, but my opinion doesn't matter. It's your opinion that matters, because it's the Kevin Barry interview.
Look, let's continue along this line, Ingram. You know, Joseph Parker fought Carlos Takam, with Takam having 3.5 months to prepare for that fight. Now, do we ever hear when Eddie was running around trying to find opponents for Anthony Joshua, did he ever once call out Carlos Takam? No. Nobody called out Carlos Takam. Okay, we gave Takam 3.5 months notice. He came down to New Zealand. Parker beat him for the mandatory, and then they go and fight him on 12 days notice. You know, look, that was, and you know, everybody thought that Joshua was going to walk across the ring and knock Takam out in 1 or 2 rounds. Did you think the same?
Absolutely not. I did a video on him, and I said if Takam can get on side, there'll be trouble.
Let me tell you this: when we fought Takam, we went back to the dressing room afterwards, and the message came through from Joshua, and it was congratulating Joe because he just won the mandatory, and he goes, "I would have knocked Takam out in 1 or 2 rounds." Well, mate, he had his opportunity on 12 days' notice, and I know for a fact that Takam did no sparring, okay, because I know people who are in this camp, okay, and Joshua still couldn't knock him out. I think that fight put a lot of things into perspective.
Okay, but then I knock the ball back into your court and say, well, the performance against Parker against Hughie wasn't great. It wasn't that impressive. And then the fight with him against Ruiz was a tight fight. So does it balance itself out?
If you say so, Mr. Jones.
I'm only asking the question. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah.
So
if you believe it balances out, then it balances out.
No, I'm not saying it balances out. I'm just asking the question. So again, it's the Kevin Barry interview, and it's just for me to ask the question. I'm just working behind a jab at the moment. That's all. Not dropping any right hands.
All right. I think what I'm really concerned about is I'm concerned about Joshua already talking about fighting Tyson Fury and, you know, we're going to fight Deontay Wilder. I'll tell you what he wants to focus on. He wants to focus on this guy, Joseph Parker, who's going to be in the ring standing in front of him very soon because, mate, we plan on raining on this party big time.
Right, that's great. Now, let's talk about the technical aspects of this fight. Now, you have to get on the inside to beat Joshua, right? Do you agree on that, or do you think you can win this fight from the outside?
Oh, mate, we can win this fight from anywhere. You know, obviously, you know, I'm not really prepared to share my fight tactics with you.
If you did, I'd be surprised.
Look, the he's a lot bigger than Parker. But Joshua's got poor head movement. He's not very good off the back foot. There's a lot of things in Joshua's style that I think measure up very, very good for us in this fight.
For me, it seems quite obvious what you need to do. It doesn't look like it's rocket science. It seems to me that you have to put Joshua onto the back foot and you throw the punches first, and be first to land and be first to everything. You've got to get on the inside. You mustn't allow Joshua to dictate the pace, and you've got to stamp your authority from round one and hit him on the chin. That sounds to me.
Sounds like a bloody good fight plan to me. I might have done that. You want to still that fight plan up there?
No, I don't mind. It's okay. I think I've, it seems to me, I mean,
do you think we can implement it?
I'm not concerned about plan A. My concern is plan B. That's what I want to know from you. I'm not worried about plan A because every trainer's got a plan A. It's when they're in the corner and plan A is not working. Yeah. What's plan B? Now, I'm looking at the fight between Hughie Fury and Joseph Parker, and I'm looking at that fight. I'm looking at the plan A, and I'm kind of looking at plan. I'm looking for the plan B, and I'm just saying, well, it seems almost action replay that was going on with Parker and Fury. Fury off the back foot, Parker on the front foot. So I want to move away from that fight because Joshua and Fury are two different styles.
Yes, they are.
What happens if?
I hope they look at that fight.
What happens if Plan A doesn't work?
Well, if Plan A doesn't work, there better be a backup plan, isn't there?
But you're the trainer. I'm just listening, and I'll be commentating.
We have a couple of different strategic plans for this fight that I believe will give Joe the best chances of nullifying some of the strengths of Joshua and the best chances of being successful. And it's not just it's not just one game plan. There's 3 or 4 different sets of focuses in this fight.
I hope so.
It will all come off the basics. Like if we don't have the right distance, if the feet aren't in the right place to start with, then we're in trouble. So you can get a little bit carried away, but the most important thing is we will be performing the fundamentals well, and we have some very good strategic moves designed for this guy that we've watched and put together over the last couple of years. As I mentioned before, both these guys have been looking at each other for a long time, and every time we watch an Anthony Joshua fight, we look at the things that he does well and the things that he does not so well. And, when I sit there and watch them with Joe discuss during the fights, what do you see? What do you think's going to work? What about this? We've got notes that we've had for years. I'm sure they've done the same thing.
Okay. And we're going to go back to Joseph Parker's chin now. I know you talk about Anthony Joshua's chin, but, and I'm not saying it as a Joshua fanboy here, I'm just saying it as you like to talk with facts. Joshua fought Klitschko, who's arguably one of the biggest punchers in heavyweight boxing. He got dropped by Klitschko and he got back up and he went on to knock Klitschko out. In terms of Joseph Parker, who's the heaviest handed guy that Joseph Parker has taken big punches from to suggest that in a professional ring, not sparring, to suggest that his chin is better than Joshua's?
God, do you know that Parker's sparred Klitschko, as you know, Joshua has.
Yes, I do know that. I do know that because we're very close with James Ali Bashir, but I just want to hear your perspective of things. As I said, it's the Kevin Barry interview.
Right. And I don't believe that James was actually in the gym for any of Parker's sparring.
Okay, good. So that's more information. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
But look, when you talk about Joshua, hey, look, he showed a lot of character in that Klitschko fight. But look, let's remember, Klitschko's 40 years old. You go back 2 fights before that, Klitschko fighting Jennings. He goes 12 rounds with Jennings. He didn't even look like putting Jennings on the floor.
Let's go back.
And yet Ortiz had Jennings up and down like a yo-yo.
Okay, let's go back a fight ago. Klitschko knocked out Pulev, who'd never been knocked out before. That was pretty impressive.
Or maybe Pulev just wasn't as good as they think.
Which one do you think it is?
I thought that Pulev was a good opponent for us, and that's a guy that I always liked.
Okay, all right. But you see, the last thing a boxer loses is punch. Is that not right, Kevin?
Well, yes, it's definitely one of the last things they lose.
I'm just asking. That's all. I'm just saying.
No, but listen, look, hey, that's a cliche in boxing.
Yes.
One of the last things they lose is their power. But you look at, we were talking about David Tua before, and we know how powerful he was.
Yes.
You have a look at the last 5 fights of his career, he wasn't knocking anyone out. When you say it's the last thing, I think he had lost his power a long time before he gave up.
But he was also injured a lot as well, wasn't he? If I'm correct with David Tua.
Not really. I think was injured a lot.
So that's interesting because I thought he was injured a lot of his career. That's why he didn't fight. But now it's something different now.
Yeah. So look, I think this angle of us talking about Joshua's chin has got it's got some really good play time in the UK. It's got a lot of people talking. It's got a lot of people upset. It's got a lot of Anthony Joshua's fans, and he has got millions of fans. It's got a lot of them actually very, very disappointed that there could be something like that said about the
Hercules. The Hercules.
Yeah, so it's definitely done its job.
Are you concerned at all, considering the Takam stoppage, that your guy, a similar thing could happen to your guy?
No, I think
because a lot of people think that's a premature stoppage.
That doesn't concern me at all. What I'm every time I think of this fight, it actually excites me, and I know it excites Joseph Parker because he's waited a long time to fight Joshua. As I mentioned before, there are a lot of things about this style that match up very well. When you win a world title, if you're a real champion and if you're a real fighter, you want to fight other champions. You want to prove that you are the best. You want to challenge yourself, and if you're not the best, then you're going to have to regroup and come back and change something and have another go. But you just don't want to be in fights that don't mean anything. This fight means a lot. This fight means a lot to both guys, and that's what makes this fight so exciting.
Do you enter this fight as the challenger? Champion?
No, we entered this fight as the WBO heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that.
It's a unification. It's a unification.
Yeah,
fight.
if you're
talking about that, then Joshua he's the challenger for Parker's WBO belt, and will be the challenger for his IBF and WBA belt.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to ask. Yeah. So because some fighters say, well, regardless if I'm a champion, I still see myself as a challenger. But some other people say I'm the champion, so therefore I'm going to move and act like a champion. So it's just the mentality of the psyche. Are you coming in as challengers or are you coming in as champions? How do you see this fight?
Oh no, we're coming in as the champion.
Okay, so
we're coming in as the WBO champion, getting ourselves ready to take the belts off Joshua.
Great. That's great. Okay. Also, the fight, is it now confirmed or is it still through negotiations?
Well, what have you heard, Mr. Jones?
I've heard that the fight's signed, sealed, and delivered, and it's from March the 31st. But I want to hear it from your words.
You won't hear it from me, but as you mentioned before, I'm sitting in Las Vegas. I can tell you that I'll be at McCarran Airport tomorrow.
Does that mean that you're flying into the UK?
Well, I've just had 9 weeks in New Zealand, so I won't be going back there.
So if you're flying into the UK, then you've got to fly in and probably come past my airport. Maybe I could catch you and get an interview there as well. Which airport are you at? You're coming to Gatwick or Heathrow? Because if you're at Gatwick, you're 20 minutes for me, and Heathrow, you're about an hour for me.
Really? I don't know if I'm going to tell you that because I've already been given. I've been given my orders. Don't muck around at the airport. We're arriving in 2 hours before you. We've got film crew meeting us at the hotel.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, so is it Heathrow or Gatwick?
Oh my goodness.
Well, I told you, come on the show. It's good to hear you laughing. It's good to hear that we can have a little bit of banter. And it's good to hear that you speaking so not only confidently but having a clear mindset as to what you want as a trainer. What about rematch clauses? We'll hear a lot about that. Rematch clause.
What was that?
Rematch clause.
There is a rematch. There is a rematch clause in the contract. After Joe knocks Joshua out, the numbers have changed a lot. The percentages are totally different.
There was a big talk about 35%. Did you get your 35%?
Can't confirm that, but we're very happy with the number that we ended up with.
So was it 35% or more? I mean, Dave Higgins was talking about 35% all the time. I mean, every other one was 35%. So I just want to know if you got overall.
If you were listening to, he actually started at 50%, and then it was 40, and
yeah,
I know there was 35 somewhere. At one stage, I think Eddie was talking about like 10%.
Well, like
so after a couple of months of negotiations, I think all parties are be happy with the business side of it, and everything that I've been told from David Higgins on a daily basis. And I've met Eddie a couple of times, and I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's very, very good at what he does. He's very professional, and I think this is going to be a great event. Where I don't expect there to be any bullshit or any underhanded tactics. I think there are two very big exciting young guys who are going to put on a hell of a fight, and both teams are going to conduct themselves, I would think, in a very professional manner.
Will you be getting on the same plane as Lucas Brown to the UK? Because obviously Brown's going to be fighting. What Dillian White now, so you might as well jump a plane with him.
You got to think for Lucas Brown, haven't you? I was just about to invite you to Heathrow tomorrow, but I won't tell you it's gambling now.
So, what are your thoughts on Lucas Brown's chances against Dillian White?
I think it's a very good fight. You know, both guys aren't the fastest of punchers. Both guys are very heavy-handed. You know, I think it'll be an exciting fight. I think someone's getting knocked out.
Oh, I think so too, definitely.
But I think it's an exciting fight. You know, there's not going to be a lot of dancing around on the toes. There's going to be two guys thrown out. And both of them are going to be open, and both there'll be opportunities for both guys sucking each other out. So I like that fight. I think it's a good spread.
Okay, let's talk finally about the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder. Yep. Rumors were that you turned down 2 offers to fight Wilder. Is this true?
I turned down for him to fight me or to fight Joe.
Well, I guess it was to fight Joe, not yourself.
I had a couple of calls off Mr. Al Heyman, and with him and I had a couple of discussions. I'd also spoken to JD's on a number of times, and also Deontay, and like, you know, I think they're a good team. You know, I like them, and I like Deontay's trainer, and I like his style of fighting. I think he's an exciting fighter, and you know, we look forward at some stage to finally getting in the ring with him. But when I get back, when I was just saying before about talking to Al, you can receive an offer. It's like if I was to ring you up and tell you I was going to pay you $50, come and work for me all day and interview, you know, 10 fighters and 10 managers.
Sounds good. When do I get started?
Yeah, see, there you go. So I think that answers that question.
Well, so you're saying basically he didn't give you the offer that you wanted.
You know, the thing about Deontay's people is, you know, the thing that I really scratch my head about is, you know, Deontay Wilder, you know, was he 38 or 39? No, 38 KOs. He has some of the best brains in boxing behind him. And, you know, Al Heyman, Shelley Finkel, Lou DiBello, guys that have been in the business forever. Why, when he is an American heavyweight with an undefeated, impressive record like that, is Deontay Wilder not a household name in America? And this is my big concern, is like, you know, the business of that fight just made no sense at all to us.
Okay, I understand that. I can understand that totally. Have I missed anything out, Kevin, before I finish with you today?
I don't know. What else would you like to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, you know, when you're coming into the airport, which airport you're at, what time I'm going to be meeting you, that sort of stuff. We can talk about that. We can talk about hotel rooms. We can talk about, we can talk about all those sort of things if you want. But I'm sure you don't want to, but we can do.
You know, so I think I'm flying out of here at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. I'm arriving into Heathrow on the Sunday.
So that means you'll be at a press conference for Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday?
Well, definitely one of those 3 days.
Right.
But considering I'm flying back on Wednesday, that'll probably narrow the field down for you.
Great. So it's either Monday or Tuesday, the press conference. Nice. More than likely be on Monday for the press conference, would it not?
God, you're funny. So we didn't end up taking any calls that's good. So,
Hold on.
no one listens to your show. So
Hold
you
on.
didn't tell me that you've got a show that only your mother will listen to it.
Hold on. Talking and talking and talking. We've just been me and you've been talking. Now, people that are in the room that are busy talking amongst themselves and talking about Kevin Barry and talking about BWTM. Now, ask you questions to Kevin Barry. If you've got any questions to ask him, we've got people who've been asking some questions already.
Mate, you've already had me on the phone for over an hour.
So you don't want me to get them to ask you questions now, then? Because I was about to end the interview.
Well, I thought that was the deal.
The deal was we were going to talk, and then people were going to ask their questions. I'll ask you anyway. I'll ask you about Wilder, why he didn't fight Wilder, and I don't think anyone's got any questions. Have you got any questions, people? Oh, how is Izu, by the way? What's going on with him?
Well, Izu's back in Poland at the moment. He hasn't fought since the Dominic Brazil fight. He's trying to. He's putting a. He had a few health issues for a while. He's now healthy again, and he's in the gym training. And I think you'll be probably hearing something about Izu very soon.
Okay, I look forward to seeing him fight again. Because I had really high hopes for him. I thought he was going to be doing great stuff, and then it all kind of went wrong.
It was just the wrong fight at the wrong time, and like everyone wanted that fight except for Kevin Barry, who turned it down on all fronts.
Okay.
And then we ended up doing a 4-week training camp before a fight of that caliber, which was, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, very interesting. DJ Slick asked the question, yo, Kevin, you truly believe Joshua is a knockover job? You think he's holding glass? DJ Slick asked the question.
No. Look, I tell you what, I think Anthony Joshua is a very good fighter, a very talented athlete. There's not too many people that win Olympic gold medals who aren't good fighters. No one's managed to last the 12 rounds in the ring with him. So, I have an enormous amount of respect for him. He's also a very, very big unit with a very long reach. And, for me to say that this was going to be a foregone conclusion for Joseph Parker, I'd be kidding myself. Joseph Parker's going to need to fight his very, very best fight. He's going to have to show us something more than he's ever showed us before if we are to be successful. I think the timing is right, and I think Joseph Parker will be ready for the fighter's life.
Question about Black guy asked a question about Parker's brother.
What about him, John?
Yes, tell us a bit more about him.
Yeah. He's had, I believe, 3 or 4 round fights. It's a funny story. When I first started with Joe in March of 2013, a lot of people in the New Zealand boxing community, when I went back to New Zealand to sign up with them, said to me, "Oh my God, Joe's half the fighter his brother is." I said, "You've got to get your hands on him. He's really something special." Really. So I started working with Joe. And I was very impressed, with just how much Joe developed in a short period of time. 2 or 3 training camps later, I brought his brother over with him, and I quickly learned that, John, as much as he wanted to be like Joe, could never ever be like Joe.
Wow. Do you rate, Sporty Nikons asked the question, do you rate Junior far?
No, I tell you what, at the moment, no. And for the simple reason that there are 3 guys in Australia at the moment who would be very good opponents for Junior Far. Bobby Tupu, Solomon Damona, and Alex Leopai. Okay. And, 2 of those guys, Joseph Parker, knocked out. Bobby Tupu came out with a 1-punch knockout. He was out for about 2 minutes in the first round. Solomon Damona knocked him out for Leopai. We never fought. But these are 3 guys that Junior Far can fight. And Junior Far's put together a record of about 14-0. Finding nondescript cocks that no one even knows. You know, when Parker was, they made this comparison. When Parker was 14, you know, he was finding, you know, Nascimento, Brian Minto, Sherman Williams, you know, guys that were known on the world scene. You know, Junior Farr needs to take care of his own part of the world before, you know, before actually stepping up. I don't know if he's ever fought a 10-round contest yet. You know, he fought, well, he has, that's right. He won the New Zealand title fighting got a 5'9" guy who lasted 10 rounds with him. One of the big boys. So, you know, am I excited by him? No. He's a big guy. Lou about signed him. I think Lou knows what he's got.
Okay, fair enough. Sporting Icons ask Barry if I can have a free ticket to AJ versus Parker, as I've hyped the shit out of Parker, and Parker done me a video intro. LOL.
Of course, the ticket that I was going to give you, Mr. Jones, now passed it on.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Oh, so you were going to give me a ticket. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But I tell you what, I'd rather a ticket to the hotel where you're staying, and I can get some interviews there. That'd be quite good.
Yeah, but you can come and see us there for sure.
That sounds great. What does Jeff Horn have to do to beat Crawford?
Well, he's going to have to show us something that we've never seen before. Like, I love Jeff. He's a great young man. He's been with Nuko events from the beginning of his career. Had that fantastic victory against Pacquiao. You know, Crawford's a very special fighter, and you know, I believe a difficult opponent for Jeff. Obviously, the distance will be very, very important in that fight. He doesn't want to be on the end of Crawford's right hand. So, you know, obviously he'll maybe have to employ some of the tactics he did against Pacquiao, where he really got in and rubbed him up and didn't show a lot of respect, just tried to manhandle him and throw him off his game.
Okay, last two questions. The last two questions are, Ask Kevin, UK Fight Group says, are you getting a share of the tickets sold by Eddie Hearn on StubHub?
Yes.
Okay, so good enough answer there. And Jay,
we're doing a share. It's a shared promotion.
Okay, JD asks, if Parker is taking a pasting from AJ and Parker shows heart and chin but no fight left, will Barry pull him out?
Any good trainer, before anything else, takes care of the health and well-being of his fighter. I love Joe like a son, and if that was ever a likelihood in the fight, I would make sure that I would be there to make the right decision.
Okay, I think that's fair enough. Kevin, Barry, thank you so much for being on BWTM Sports, making your debut, and what a debut it was.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Mr. Jones, and I look forward to talking to you again.
I look forward to speaking to you when you're in the UK.
All right, mate.
Take care.
All the best.
All the best, Kevin. Bye. So there you have it, Kevin Barry making his debut on BWTM Sports. We hope you enjoyed the interview. And that's it. Thanks again for chilling out with us on BWTM Sports. I'm wondering, we may have one other person that wants to do an interview tonight. It's my man, Mahib. So we'll be talking to Flashy Faz after this as well. Hope you enjoyed the interview. This is BWTM Sports. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're out. See you in a moment.